Don't move. For the love of God, freeze. Pretend you're still in a coma, whispered Nurse Camille while I lay pinned to the heavy hospital bed. Less than a minute later, the heavy ICU doors slid open, and my own mother entered the room alongside my sister. Cancel her rehabilitation. Let nature take its course, my mother said coldly, while my sister merely smiled, adjusting her designer handbag and stripping the gold watch from my bruised wrist. She's already claimed my penthouse in Maybach anyway. The moment they walked out of the room, confident they had gotten rid of me, I opened my eyes, looked at the nurse, and gave my only order: call my lawyer. My name is Olivia. I'm 33 years old, and I am the founder and CEO of a major real estate development corporation, Vance Infrastructure Group in Atlanta. The smell of medical ozone and burnt plastic seeped into my nasal passages before I could even open my eyelids. Consciousness returned in short, agonizing pulses. It felt as though a bag of crushed glass was sitting in my chest instead of lungs. Every microscopic movement was a battle. My cervical vertebrae felt like a monolithic white-hot mass, and I couldn't feel the lower half of my body at all. There lay a deafening, ringing void. The rhythmic, unpleasant beep of the monitor tracked my pulse. 84 beats per minute. Too fast for someone in a stage 3 coma. They're coming, Camille added with a barely perceptible tremor in her voice, adjusting the EEG sensor above my right ear. Lock yourself inside. I clenched my teeth, forcing my facial muscles to relax, and lowered my eyelids slightly, leaving only a microscopic slit. An alien, suffocating scent burst into the sterile room, a mixture of Baccarat Rouge 540 perfume trail and raw rain air. My mother, Eleonora. She had never changed her perfume, and she had never paid for it herself over the last 10 years. All the receipts automatically went to my company's accounting department. Following her, loudly clicking her Christian Louboutin heels against the sterile linoleum, walked my younger sister, Chloe. From the click of a smartphone camera shutter, I realized she was making another post for her followers. God, what a smell! Chloe's spoiled voice rang out. She didn't even approach the bed. Mom, are we gonna stick around here long? I have a fitting in 40 minutes. And besides, I need to post a story about how devastated I am by this tragedy. Shut up, Chloe, Eleonora cut her off dryly. From the sound, she was unzipping a leather binder. Nurse! Camille took a step forward, blocking the IV drip. Yes, Mrs. Vance? We are here to revoke the aggressive neurorehabilitation protocol and cancel the call for specialists from Switzerland, my mother said without a single trace of emotion. Her voice carried the coldness of the metal used to cast vault doors. Transfer her to palliative care. No stimulants, no surgical interventions on her spine. Let nature take its course. A heavy silence hung in the room. The only sound was the beep of my heart monitor. I fought with all my might to control my breathing, feeling an icy rage boiling inside me. Mrs. Vance, Camille's voice sounded firm. Your daughter is the founder of the largest development corporation in the state. She has immense rehabilitation potential. If we start physical therapy and spinal cord stimulation right now, she could walk in a year and a half. Canceling the protocol will lead to irreversible atrophy and multi-organ failure. My daughter right now is a non-viable asset, Eleonora stated precisely. I am her legal guardian. My signature on the refusal of resuscitation measures carries full legal authority. We do not intend to burn millions of dollars on the senseless maintenance of biomass. Exactly, Chloe chimed in. I heard a faint metallic click. Through the slit of my eyelids, I saw my sister lean over my unfeeling hand, resting on the sheet. Her manicured fingers deftly unclasped the strap of my white gold Patek Philippe 20, approximately 4 watch with diamond bezel inlay. She won't be needing these anymore, Chloe scoffed, sliding the watch onto her own wrist and critically inspecting her arm. Mom, honestly, it smells like poverty in here. Let's sign the papers and leave. We have a table reserved in an hour. Plus, I need to start packing my things. Olivia's penthouse in Buckhead is huge, and I want to take the master bedroom before everything settles down. And I'm taking the Maybach too. First, we'll transfer the ownership rights through the trust. Eleonora stopped her coldly. Let's go. The chief physician is waiting for us on the 3rd floor to sign the refusal of resuscitation. Don't call me until her heart stops. They turned around. The clicking of heels and the heavy aroma of expensive perfume began to fade away. The heavy doors slammed shut. Listening to them divide my property while I lay broken on a hospital bed set a fire ablaze in my chest. There was nothing new in this. This was the exact same Eleonora who threw me out of the house at 18 without a single cent. Back then, I saved every penny from night tutoring jobs to pay for college. Eleonora had demanded my savings to pay for Chloe's failed plastic surgery. When I refused to fund her vanity, she threw my belongings onto the lawn and changed the locks. I spent months sleeping in an old, breaking car, working 3 minimum wage jobs, attending night school, and building a $50 million construction empire from scratch. While they ran into debt maintaining a fake chic lifestyle, I bought and restored properties for Atlanta's elite. I let them back into my life a couple of years ago, hoping time had softened their greed. I was gravely mistaken. I waited exactly 10 seconds. Every second felt like an eternity. Then I opened my eyes completely, ripped the oxygen mask off my face, and took a heavy, raspy gulp of hospital air. Camille shuddered and rushed to the bed. "Olivia! You're conscious. The doctor said you wouldn't wake up for at least another week." "Camille." My voice sounded like rust scraping against dry earth. Every word echoed with a hellish flash at the back of my head. "Listen to me carefully. Get your personal phone and dial Nathaniel. He's my trust management attorney. Tell him to be here immediately." Camille didn't hesitate. In her job, she had seen enough family vultures to understand what was happening. She pulled out her personal cell phone and dialed the number I dictated. I spent the next 6 hours staring at the ceiling, analyzing every detail of that terrible accident. I was driving down a steep, winding hill on Peachtree Road. I slammed on the brakes, but the pedals simply sank to the floor. The car accelerated wildly before crashing into a concrete barrier. It wasn't a mechanical failure. It wasn't an accident. Realization began to dawn on me. My family's greed had morphed into something far darker. Around midnight, the door slid open quietly. Nathaniel slipped into the room, looking around cautiously. He was a legal shark who had spent the last decade helping me pack assets into bulletproof trusts. But tonight he looked pale, his usual cold composure completely shattered. "Olivia, thank God you're conscious," he whispered, pulling a chair right up to the headboard. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a stack of court documents. I went straight to the legal registry as soon as the nurse called. "We have a massive problem." I tried to sit up, but the pain in my ribs forced me to fall back. "What did they do, Nathaniel? Did they get access to the accounts?" "It's much worse." His voice trembled slightly. "They didn't just cancel your rehabilitation today. I checked the county records. Eleonora filed a medical power of attorney, appointing herself as your sole guardian and conservator. It gives her total control over your health, bank accounts, and the entire company." I shook my head, fighting off nausea. "That's impossible. I never signed a power of attorney naming Eleonora. You are my sole designated representative." Nathaniel slid a copy of the document toward me. "I know you didn't sign it, but your signature is on this document, and it is perfectly notarized. Olivia, look at the date at the bottom of the page." I squinted. The blue ink read, "Tuesday of last week. 3 days before the crash." Nathaniel leaned closer, his eyes wide with realization. "They weren't reacting to your accident. They planned it. They forged your signature on the conservatorship 3 days before your car's brakes mysteriously failed. Olivia, right now they legally control your entire life, and they are actively trying to kill you." I stared at the forgery in the lawyer's trembling hands. The date burned my eyes. Tuesday, full 72 hours before the braking system failed on that steep hill. Cold, heavy dread settled in my stomach. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. This was premeditated murder. "I need to call the police right now," I rasped out, reaching for the phone on the nightstand. Nathaniel gently pressed my hand down. "You can't do that, Olivia. Listen to me very carefully. This paper makes Eleonora your absolute dictator. If you raise alarm without undeniable proof of forgery or brake tampering, she will simply claim you're hallucinating from brain trauma. She'll bring in a bribed doctor, have you officially declared incompetent, and lock you in permanent conservatorship. They will hide you in an asylum under sedatives, and no one will ever believe a single word you say again." His words hit me harder than the crash itself. I was a prisoner in my own broken body, and the guards were women who shared my blood. I looked at Nurse Camille, guarding the door. She nodded grimly, confirming Nathaniel's terrifying words. So how do I fight back? I whispered. How do I stop them if they hold all the cards? We need evidence, Nathaniel said firmly. Original forgeries, financial paper trails, or a confession. We need proof so undeniable that even Atlanta's most expensive lawyers can't get them off. And to get that, they need to feel safe. They must believe their plan worked perfectly. I closed my eyes, formulating a strategy that terrified me more than the accident itself. The only way to gather that evidence was from the inside. I had to let them take me home. I had to become a Trojan horse. Nathaniel. I looked him straight in the eye. Let them sign the discharge papers. Don't fight the medical care transition. I'll play the part. I'll be the silent vegetative burden they think I am. I will watch. I will listen. And we will build a trap they will never escape from. It was a colossal risk. If I slipped up even once, if a muscle twitched at the wrong time or I reacted to their cruelty, they would pump me with drugs into non-existence. But there was no other choice. Over the next few days, I perfected my performance. When the doctors made their rounds, my eyes remained glassy and unfocused. When Eleonora and Chloe came to put on a show for the staff, I relaxed my jaw. I became a ghost trapped inside a breathing shell. By the end of the week, Eleonora confidently finalized the discharge. I was loaded into a private medical transport. The drive to my estate in Buckhead was torture. Every bump echoed with a flash of pain in my mending bones, but my face remained completely blank. When the heavy wrought iron gates closed behind us, I heard Chloe squeal with joy from the front seat. The 1,200 square meter estate with marble floors, a pool, and a grand double staircase. I had designed every inch of this luxury myself. The paramedics rolled the gurney into the main foyer. I expected to be wheeled to the elevator leading to my master bedroom. Instead, Eleonora barked an order. Not upstairs. Downstairs. To the basement. I'm not going to ruin the aesthetic of the main floor with ugly medical equipment. Even the paramedics hesitated. Ma'am, the basement is a utility area. It's damp and has no natural light windows. I'm not paying you for interior design advice, Eleonora snapped. Wheel her down there. She's a vegetable anyway. It's all the same to her whether it's a penthouse or a closet. The paramedics silently obeyed. They rolled me down a concrete ramp to the lowest level of the house. It was a small room intended for staff, which I had planned to renovate next year. The air was musty, smelling of dust and old pipes. I was transferred onto a cheap, squeaky hospital bed Eleonora had rented. Once the transporters left, Chloe walked in. Her heels clicked loudly against the bare concrete. God, it's so gloomy down here, my sister complained, adjusting the collar of my favorite cashmere sweater, which she had already stolen from my closet. At least she's not an eyesore. I have 30 people coming over tonight for a housewarming party. I don't need them tripping over her wheelchair. Leave her, Eleonora said from the doorway. The sooner her organs fail from the cold, the sooner we can liquidate the rest of the company's assets. Let's go open that vintage champagne she hid in the cellar. The heavy oak door slammed shut. The external bolt clicked. I was plunged into near total darkness. Hours passed. The cold seeped into my bones. From above, a muffled bass beat and the clinking of glasses drifted down. My sister was throwing a party in my living room, drinking my wine, celebrating my impending death. My muscles ached intensely, my throat was parched, but I didn't dare move. I had to wait for the right moment. Late at night, the music finally died down. The house sank into an eerie silence. Suddenly, I heard the distinct sound of slow footsteps coming down the wooden stairs. The heavy door groaned open. A strip of light spilled across the concrete floor. I made my breathing shallow, my eyes half closed. A tall, broad silhouette stepped into the room and approached the bed, blocking out the light completely. In the gloom, a long needle flashed with a metallic glint. Someone was holding a syringe directly above my IV line. My heart hammered against my ribs. I prepared for the lethal burn of poison, promising myself not to scream. The needle pierced the port. Cold fluid surged into my bloodstream. I closed my eyes tightly, expecting my lungs to stop. Instead, a wave of deep, saving relief washed over my broken bones. The hellish pain in my legs began to recede, turning into a dull thrum. It was high-grade pain medication, not a lethal injection. The silhouette leaned lower. In the ray of light, I recognized a familiar, strong jawline. It was Malik, Chloe's husband. Malik was a talented architect, a proud black man, whose parents had immigrated from Ghana with nothing but a strong work ethic. He was the man who had actually drafted the blueprints for this very mansion. Yet my mother and sister treated him like domestic staff. Eleonora constantly made passive-aggressive racist remarks about his heritage, while Chloe used him merely as a status accessory. I had always liked Malik, but I didn't know if I could trust him. He was, after all, married to my worst enemy. Malik leaned in extremely close. "I know you're not in a coma, Olivia," he whispered in a quiet, steady voice. "I saw your eyes tracking Chloe's shadow when they brought you down. You're faking it." I froze. If he went upstairs and told them the truth, I was finished. "Please, Malik," I rasped in a throat-burning whisper. He gently placed a hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to beg me, Olivia. We're on the same side. They're trying to destroy us both." Malik pulled a small thermos of warm chicken broth from his jacket. He carefully lifted my head, letting me take small, greedy swallows. The hot liquid felt like liquid gold. The hospital IVs had barely kept me alive, and Eleonora had clearly instructed the transport team not to set up a feeding tube. Malik was literally saving me from starving to death in my own basement. While he fed me, Malik revealed his nightmare. Chloe wasn't just trying to steal my real estate. She had been systematically draining Malik's personal accounts for months, siphoning his money into offshore accounts. Worse yet, he found out she was cheating on him. Chloe was sleeping with a wealthy commercial contractor, the very man who supplied the steel for my latest skyscraper. "She plans to file for divorce as soon as your corporate assets are transferred into her name," Malik said, his jaw clenching with anger. "Eleonora has already hired the ruthless family lawyer. They want to paint me as an unfit father, take my 4-year-old son away, and throw me onto the street with nothing. I won't lose my son, Olivia. I will do whatever it takes to stop them." I finished the broth, feeling my strength returning. "I need an insider up there," I whispered. "I need eyes and ears. Document everything they do, every call, every wire transfer, every meeting. If you help me gather the evidence to put my mother and sister in prison, I promise you, I will fund your legal battle. I will hire lawyers who will obliterate Chloe. I will secure custody of your son and give you the capital to launch your own architectural firm. Deal?" Malik didn't hesitate for a second. He gave a firm nod. "Deal. I'll get you a basic burner phone. I'll hide it under the mattress tomorrow morning when I come to change your dressing. We text when they aren't looking, and I'll leak everything to your lawyer." Malik was gently lowering my head back onto the flat pillow when the heavy wooden steps creaked brazenly. The deafening click of designer heels rolled down the stairs. Before Malik could step back, the basement door burst open. The harsh glare of the fluorescent light stung my eyes. I instantly relaxed my jaw and rolled my eyes back, falling into a vegetative state, controlling my breath. Chloe stood in the doorway, holding a half-empty crystal glass of champagne. "What are you doing down here?" she demanded. "Why are you wasting time on a brainless vegetable?" Malik didn't flinch. He smoothly kicked the thermos under the bed and pulled a wrench from his pocket. "Checking the water pressure valve. The pipes are old. I don't want dampness spreading." Chloe stepped forward with disgust. "Do you think I'm stupid?" Standing over her like a vulture. "I don't pay you to be a corpse sitter." "I don't work for you, Chloe," Malik replied softly. "I'm your husband." The sharp sound of a slap echoed through the basement. I used every ounce of willpower not to react and strangle her right then and there. "You're a penniless leech," Chloe spat out. "You're nobody without this family. If you want to do manual labor so badly, go clean the pool outside. Don't let me see you inside the house until morning." Malik clenched his jaw, silently swallowing the humiliation, turned around, and walked out. Chloe walked over to my bed, looked down at my lifeless body, forcefully kicked the metal leg of the frame. Pain flared through my legs, but I bit my cheek until it bled to suppress any reaction, and satisfied, turned off the light and locked the bolt. I waited 20 minutes. Then I slowly pulled the phone from under the mattress. The screen glowed softly. Dialing Nathaniel's number, I tapped out. "It's Olivia. I'm alive. They locked me in the basement. Text only." The reply came instantly. Thank God. I was digging into their finances. The situation is critical. Tell me everything. Nathaniel sent messages one after another. Using the forged power of attorney, Chloe had already contacted a shady broker connected to her contractor lover. She was initiating an emergency sale of my flagship commercial property downtown, a complex valued at $40 million. She's selling it to an anonymous shell company for $15 million in cash, Nathaniel wrote. She doesn't care about the loss in value. She wants to liquidate the main asset, move the cash offshore, and run. The papers are being prepared today. I smiled in the dark. That was the exact, arrogant, rushed mistake I needed them to make. I'm preparing an emergency injunction, Nathaniel added. I'll file it tomorrow morning. We'll freeze the sale. But if I do that, they'll know you're taking action. They might try to dispose of you before the police arrive. I thought about Malik, cast out into the cold, about my mother, who orchestrated the sabotage of my breaks. I didn't just want to stop them. I wanted to destroy them. Don't stop the sale, I typed back. Let her sign. Let her commit federal fraud with a forged document. But contact your banks. I want you to intercept that anonymous buyer company. Make sure the entity buying my property for pennies belongs exclusively to me. Morning light never penetrated the concrete bunker. I only knew the day had begun by the terrible stiffness in my joints and the distant clattering of dishes above. Eleonora was hosting a lavish Sunday brunch, gathering donations and sympathy from Atlanta's elite for her daughter's medical care. Outside under the scorching sun, Malik was cleaning the pool as ordered, but his architect's mind was noting details. He noticed that Eleonora, engrossed in conversation with a guest, had left her iPad Pro on a lounge chair by the bar. Ensuring Chloe was busy showing off her stolen necklace and her mother was distracted, Malik discreetly grabbed the tablet and slipped into the shadow of the cabana. He knew her 6-digit passcode. Malik opened the email app and went to the deleted folder. Among a stack of receipts, a chain of emails from an unlicensed auto repair shop on the outskirts caught his attention. An audio file was attached to an email. It was a voicemail message Eleonora had left for the mechanic a couple of days before my accident. Malik inserted a wireless earbud and pressed play. Eleonora wasn't using her high society tone. She was screaming, spitting mad. She was furious that I had refused to cover her $2 million tax debt to the IRS. In the audio recording, Eleonora explicitly told the mechanic that $50,000 in cash was waiting for him in a bag. All he had to do was make sure the brake lines on my Mercedes completely failed on the steep descent of Peachtree Road. My mother hadn't just waited for my death. She paid for it. Malik tucked the tablet under his shirt, but before he could leave, a new notification popped up on the screen. The mechanic was texting Eleonora right during the brunch. Cops are asking questions about the crash. They know the line was cut. I need another $100,000 by Friday, or I'm going to the prosecutor and turning you in. Malik hurried down to the basement, unlocked the bolt, and ran inside. Olivia, he whispered, sweat dripping from his forehead. The crash wasn't an accident. I found Eleonora's deleted files. She paid a mechanic $50,000 to cut your brakes. He held the screen up to my face and played the audio. I lay there listening to my own mother, calmly ordering my murder. A cold, pure rage consumed me. The last microscopic shred of familial attachment evaporated. They were no longer my family. They were parasites, and I was going to eradicate them. Take a picture of the blackmail text, I exhaled. Delete the notification and put the tablet back. I forwarded the photo to Nathaniel. My mother is being blackmailed. She needs $100,000 in cash by Friday. She's panicking. Nathaniel replied with dry logic. The real estate sale proceeds are locked in an escrow account. She can't access them yet. She has only one way to get fast cash. She needs to trigger your life insurance payout, and for that, you must be officially dead. Prepare yourself, Olivia. Over the next 24 hours, I mentally braced for war. The next day, the heavy basement door swung open with a crash. Eleonora came down the stairs, holding a designer bag. Behind her walked a tall, older man in a suit and a white coat, carrying a leather medical bag. Dean Martin, a private physician Eleonora had long bought off. Doctor, Eleonora said coldly, my daughter's condition has sharply deteriorated. Cardiac arrest has occurred. You will record the time of death from crash injuries, and we will send the body for cremation. Martin wiped sweat from his brow. Eleonora, this is dangerous. The police are investigating. You will receive $500,000 immediately after the insurance payout, Dean. My mother cut him off. Get the potassium. I lay there, holding my breath. My muscles coiled. Martin pulled out a vial, drew the clear liquid into a syringe, and stepped toward the IV line. Goodbye, Olivia, Eleonora said, turning away. Martin positioned the needle over the port. In that split second, I opened my eyes wide, shot my arm up, grabbed the doctor's wrist with such force that the bones popped, and twisted his hand. The syringe flew out of his fingers with a snap and shattered on the concrete. Martin screamed, falling backward. Eleonora froze. Her face instantly turned an earthy gray, her eyes bulging. You, she stammered, backing toward the stairs. I slowly, through agonizing pain, sat up on the bed. My glare pinned her to the spot. Hello, Mom, I said. My voice sounded like a funeral knell. Looking for $100,000 for the mechanic? You're getting life instead. At that exact moment, the sound of a door being kicked in echoed from above. FBI SWAT and Atlanta police burst into the basement. Leading them was Nathaniel alongside the district prosecutor. Eleonora Vance. Dean Martin, an officer roared. You are under arrest for attempted murder, forgery, and financial fraud. On the ground, Martin fell to his knees, immediately sobbing and begging for a plea deal. Eleonora's arms were slammed behind her back. As she was led past my bed, she thrased in the federal agent's grip, screeching with animal hatred. You were supposed to die in that car. I didn't even blink. Get this garbage out of my house. The court trial lasted a brief 3 days. The evidence collected by Nathaniel and Malik, the recorded murder order, the blackmail texts, the forged power of attorney, and the mechanic's testimony, left the defense without a single chance. Eleonora Vance received 28 years in federal prison without the possibility of parole. Chloe Vance received 14 years in prison for complicity, fraud, and attempted asset stripping. All her property was confiscated. 7 months of intensive physical therapy accomplished the impossible. I stood by the panoramic window of my new office on the 45th floor. In my hand, I held a polished ebony cane, the sole reminder of that nightmare. I could walk on my own. The office door opened, and Malik walked in. He was wearing a sharp suit and holding a stack of fresh blueprints. Behind him, the sign of our new firm was visible: Vance and Malik Architecture. Following the divorce, Malik gained full custody of his son and a stake in our new joint venture. The blueprints for the new complex are ready, Olivia, he smiled. Shall we launch the project? Let's launch it, I smiled back, leaning slightly on my cane. They tried to bury me in a basement, but they forgot. I build the walls, and no one can break them.